What's up, fam? Agent O here with another action figure review, and I have the S.H.Figuarts Hulk from the Age of Ultron movie line. And overall, I do like this figure. I do have some issues with it, but I'll get into that as the review goes on. But for right now, I just want to talk about the aesthetics and the sculpt of this guy. And he is a very good looking action figure. I think the sculpt, he's big and bulky, and he's definitely gonna tower over the other Avengers in the action figure line. I think he's 7 inches tall. Got Spidey here for scale, so you know he's definitely pretty substantial size. So get the fuck out of there, and we'll continue on. I dig the way they stylize the musculature on this figure. You know, he's big and bulky without being like that, solid fat bulky. You know, they definitely did a good job with the sculpting of the muscle striate. Well, not the muscle, I guess, definition. Not so much the striations. You can't actually see actual muscle striations, but you do see that they definitely know their anatomy, and it shows. Now, as for the face sculpt, it is not Mark Ruffalo, unfortunately, but that doesn't deter from the fact that this is such an awesome face sculpt for the Hulk. You know, they obviously went with a more comic book oriented style, and it shows, and I think it does the job. I don't need to have the actual actor portrayed in action figure form. You know, like I said in the earlier review for Cap, I think they weren't able to get the rights for the for the actor likenesses to be able to portray them in this action figure line. But I still think this works. If people have that big of a problem with it, I don't really know what to tell them, because I think this is really nice. Now I do dig the way this version of Hulk is colored. It's not a vibrant green. It's more toned down and neutral. I guess my only gripe is that they must have used different plastics or something for like the body parts, because the colors don't totally match up. Like his torso area's got these yellowish green highlights on his chest and on his stomach area, and it's like they tried to do the same thing on the arms, but it's like they used a different plastic, and I don't know if my camera will pick it up as well, but this area, the chest area, and these the butterfly joints in the shoulders you can tell they're made out of the same plastic, and then they use something different for the arms, and also the legs. Like it looks like the feet, the actual front, the toe point portion of the feet are like done in the same color and the same paint scheme as the upper torso, as the upper and lower torso. And then like the arms are done out of a different plastic. Even his head is a bit greener than the rest of his body, and I think all they really needed to do was add some of these yellowish green highlights to his face a little bit, and I think it would have balanced it out. It's not so noticeable that you're just like, oh my god, I can't look at this figure, but if you want to see it, it's definitely there. They should have whatever shiny, or it's not really shiny, it's more of a matte finish, but on his arms it's even more of a matte finish, and you can tell when you touch the plastic it doesn't feel as smooth. The arms don't feel as smooth as the rest of the torso, which is kind of weird. I'm saying that because it's like I'm feeling up the Hulk, which is not a thought I want in my head. But anyway, aside from some of the discoloration, like I said, it's not that bad that it takes away from the whole figure. It's not it's not super noticeable, but it is there, and I think that does detract a bit from the toy as a whole. I do like the coloring that they did with his pants. It's definitely it definitely matches with the whole neutral color scheme that they're going for. He's got the purple pants, which I never saw a problem with doing that in the movies. I can't remember whether he had purple pants in the actual movie or not. I wasn't paying attention to what the Hulk was wearing. I was watching everything else that was going on, but you know, the purple, the two-tone colors of purple with the different violet on the seams and stuff, it works really well. And you can see the Avengers logo on his pants on both sides. So you know, they definitely do a good job with the paint apps. You know, there isn't really any slop, I guess. It's just too bad that they didn't use the same plastic throughout the entire figure so that it has a more unified look, at least on the green portions of his body. That's the only downside I have with the aesthetics. I think he looks really good overall. You know, with as far as the sculpt is concerned. Now, there are some issues I have with the articulation, which I want to get to next. And I'll just run through the gamut of his posability, because it's weird getting a S.H.Figuart that has limits in their range of mobility, which that doesn't happen often. I don't know why it's happening with this particular figure. Why they couldn't do some of the same things they do with some of the other figures, but I'll just go into the with, you know, the articulation on starting with his head. You know, he can't really look, even though his neck is on a double ball joint, he just can't look up. That's it. You know, he's just basically can look straight ahead and he can look down. That's pretty much it. You're not going to get anything else, you know, going up in that direction, which isn't that bad, because he does have the diaphragm joint, which will allow him to, you know, compensate for the lack of upward motion in his head. He's got the butterfly joints, like so. You can get, you know, that's about as far as you can move them. It's not too bad. It's not too great. He's got a lot of range of motion in the arms, because it's another double, get some light in there, it's another double ball joint. Now, I saw some reviews, or I heard about some reviews, where people were complaining about the gaps in his arms. I'm guessing it's the gaps in his arms. And you know, S.H.Figuarts has always been about posability and not so much about making the action figure look like a seamless body. I think with figures, with characters that have a actual physical body, it's a little harder for the company to hide some of the gaps. Like I noticed with, like, say, Kamen Rider figures, they're able to hide a lot of this stuff with the armor that you see with the characters wearing in the show, and it doesn't always work as well with figures, with superposable figures that have a actual organic body that you're working with. I think they could have made the double joints on his elbows a bit more seamless. I mean, because you can definitely see through to the joints and stuff, which I don't mind seeing the joints. I mean, you're not going to really be able to avoid that with an action figure, and they do sculpt the elbow joint so that it looks like an actual elbow and not a joint on a toy. So it's not horrible. It's definitely not the best that I've seen them do. But I don't think it honestly takes away that hardcore from the figure. You still get a lot of you still can get, you know, still can get that much range out of his arms, and his hands, you know, fit on pretty well, and you get a pretty good amount of range of motion because they're on a ball joint, and I think they fit rather flushly onto the forearm. And even though he has a hip swivel, it's not a whole lot of, he's not going to be doing a whole lot of the twist. You know, but it's good. It's not great, and he definitely doesn't need to go 360 degrees around. So I think this is pretty good. It looks like he bends or he twists to his right a bit farther than he does to his left. It's like he's stuck at his left, and that could be due to the sculpt. I'm not sure. Oh wow, that just, don't know why that just happened. But moving on to the hips, you still get a wide. He could like high kick somebody, you know, high roundhouse somebody. It's still pretty wide for stances, not too bad. I wish he could get his leg up a little bit higher. Like, that's about as high as it's gonna go. I kind of wish it was a little bit more, but you know, you got limitations in the sculpt for keeping him from getting it any farther. He does have double jointed knees, which isn't too bad. Pretty good there on the double jointed knee front. And you know, he's got his ankle rockers and the toe point. Toe point's pretty good. Overall, he's not the most posable S.H.Figuarts that I've ever had, but he's more posable than most other versions of the Hulk that I have. like I have the Marvel Select movie Hulk from the first Avengers, and he's posable, but he's definitely not going to be as posable as this guy. So I guess if the gaps, because I know this was just such a big complaint with people, if the gaps are that take away from the figure that much, I guess don't get them. Or you could just play around with the pose, because I mean, it's not like you need his arms up that high. I don't know how many poses you're gonna have where his arms are gonna be that extended. So you can just play around with it to where it's not the gaps aren't as exposed as much. I think you could do it that way. But anyway, moving on to accessories. He does not come with a whole lot of accessories. He just comes with an extra head and open hands. And the hands are, once again, nice sculpt on these guys. They look like those they look like those, like the Zangief pose hands where he's ready to just grab you and throw you all over the place. So I like these hands. I like them overall. But yeah, he doesn't come with that much because the Hulk doesn't really need that much. I almost kind of wish they would have given him an effect base where, you know, where the ground looks smashed up and you can extend some of the pieces to make it look like there's rocks flying off. I know that would have jacked up the price like another $20, so I'm kind of happy they didn't think to do that. But I kind of do wish he would have came with a bit more. What he would have came with, I have no clue, because the Hulk doesn't really need much, because it's the Hulk. He's just a giant, destruction machine, so he doesn't really need anything else. He doesn't carry gadgets or anything. So I mean, overall, I think this is not too bad, as long as you don't pay too much for him. Whatever the original retail price is, I would try to get him for that. I would not try to pay those overly inflated prices from sites like Big Bad Toy Store and some of these other American toy store sites. I would definitely try to shop around and buy this guy for, as less as, for the price he was originally slated to come out on. So I would just keep an eye out on websites, because I have seen some websites that I go to have gotten him restocked on their shelves. So shop around, find these sites that will actually sell him to you for a decent price and not try to gouge you out of your money. Because I still think, despite all of these, I guess, flaws that he's got, it's still a pretty good figure. I think this is it'll definitely make a welcome addition to your movie line collection if that's what you're trying to do. So really got nothing else. This has been a pretty quick review, because there really isn't much to talk about, because there's not too much wrong with this guy. So I'm just gonna end it, and I will catch you guys on the next review. I am Agent O, and I am out. Peace.